This next one is a weight distribution disengage. Weight distributions are one of the most misunderstood and underutilized movements in fencing. Okay? A lot of people are like, you don't want to do it, it costs you time, it costs you balance, blah, 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 blah. There's a difference between a weight distribution change and a change of like essentially your center of gravity. This is a center of gravity change. This is leaning, this is different, this is not great to do because it's hard to move from here because my center of gravity has changed, right? And like leaning back. That is different than changing the weight distribution between your legs. Using weight distribution changes are very good because they actually save you all of your segments. You still have left all of your temples. So, for a good example, if he gains my weapon and I disengage with my hand, I use the segment of the wrist, right? I do it with my feet, I use the segment of the feet. Hips is pretty good because I still have hand and feet left, but I'm changing my targets, which means if I go here and he does disengage, there's a target close, which can be risky, okay? All of them are going to have their cost, so does the weight distribution disengage. But one of the great things about this weight distribution disengage is if I disengage just by shifting to rear weight, I still have the tempo of my hands and the tempo of my feet. So for example, if I shift to rear weight and he attacks, still have my hand, my fastest tempo to stop his fastest tempo. Okay, so I have a high chance of getting this parry. He goes back, he gains, I disengage through here, maybe he feints my hand. Then he continues, okay, and say for whatever reason, I'm not using the offhand, he double feinted or whatever, we're just using this for a demonstration purpose, and he continues the attack, I actually still have the tempo of my feet left. A lot of people think from rear weight you can't really retreat other by going like this, but you can do like a replacement step retreat where your front foot replaces your back foot. Even from rear weight, if he gains and I shift to rear weight, you can still reverse balistra as well, which keeps really good balance, okay? So I like these weight distribution shifts because they save all of your other tempos and they're really good for a lot of different movements. So, okay, weight distributions are such a good technique because it's a good way of being able to stay in that range and save all your segments, which is one reason it's so deceptive. It is not leaning back. Make sure you're not leaning back. And make sure when you're doing these weight distributions, when you shift to rear weight, you want to turn your back foot back so that your knee is going the direction it's supposed to, instead of being here. You usually don't do it in a squared stance because it's hard and you end up leaning back. And when your feet's here, it's not as good either. When you're changing your weight distribution, you need your knee to go the direction that it's supposed to, okay? All right, back to it. All right, so we covered wrist disengages. We covered disengaging with the use of our hip by switching to bladed or to squared. So now we're going to cover weight distribution disengage. One of the reasons why the weight distribution disengage is so good is because it saves your other tempos. So in other words, if I shift to rear weight like this and I disengage, what's good is I can still use the tempo of my feet. So even though I'm shifting my weight to my rear weight, if you attack, I can still push off this foot and retreat. If I disengage from rear weight into forward weight and you attack, I can still retreat. If I'm disengaging, so the way we retreat when we shift to rear weight is we're going to push off of this foot and we're going to replace it with our front foot. So we're pushing off here and this foot goes here like this. Good. And we'll work on that more in a minute as well. So the other thing too is when we are using our weight shift, we still have the tempo of the hand. So if I'm shifting to rear weight for my disengage and you attack me, I still have the tempo of my hand, I also have the tempo of my feet, and even if, say, I were to shift to rear weight and I go to disengage and you feint me and I use the tempo of my hand and the tempo of my feet, I still have the tempo of my hips, okay, and my off hand. So what I like about utilizing the weight distribution and why weight distribution shifts, in my opinion, are very underused is because when you do a weight distribution for things, you save all your other tempos. You can still do your feet and everything. That's why I like weight distribution feint so much, because I can just change my weight distribution, get you to react. I still have my feet, I still have both my hands, and I still have my hip rotation for my body. So weight distributions are really, really good to use. So now let's cover that footwork. So the way that we do this footwork is if we're on our back foot, we are going to push, and I like to bring my body forward when I'm doing this replacement like this, and I'm turning a little bit. It's actually the same movement that Mike Tyson does for his punches. So let's take our swords off for a minute. Okay, we're going to face the mirror. And we're going to do it forward. So we're going to bring our back leg, instead of going backwards, we're going to go forward first. We're going to bring our back leg to where our front leg is, and then you're going to shift to rear weight, and you're going to have your foot kind of turned. Yep, now take your front foot, put it where your back was, and then go back to your normal stance. So bring our back foot to where our front foot is, here, and turn. Now here, and turn. Here, and turn.